Okay, so
Is that all in the recording?
yeah, I recorded all of that. I sent it home to your parents in a field. It's on pause. So looking at the basics, you have to know what are the axes. We have the y-axis and the x-axis. What are the intercepts? Those are points on the axis. So this point here would be your x-intercept. And that's because it's on the x-axis. And if you're on the y-axis somewhere, then what intercept are you? Because I asked. Y-intercept. And that's going to be on there forever and ever, folks. Okay. You have to be able to graph and label points. Also should know the quadrants. This here is quadrant number 1, quadrant number, and quadrant number 4. Okay. Any questions about the quadrants or the intercepts? Okay, so then we started graphing. We graphed most of our graphs from y equals mx plus b. You don't need to know that form. Usually we had a rate of change. Which is your slope. And we had a constant, which is like our starting value. Okay. So if we get y equals 3x plus 2, we said make an xy chart and fill it in. Now we have to choose smart x values. Here we have no fraction in front of x. Our rate of change is a number. It's a whole number. It's 3. So we would choose -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And we always want to choose that unless our rate of change is a fraction. So then we take the -2 and substitute that into our equation for the x value. So x value would change to -2. And then we do our math, -6 plus 2, and we get -4 as our answer for y. And we do the same thing by changing the x to a -1 value. So x changes, and this is going to change our y value. So we get, we get -3 plus 2, we get -1 as our answer. And then for 0, when you get y equals 3 times 0 plus 2, 0 plus 2, our answer is 2. Now we should start seeing the pattern. What is our rate of change? What are we going up by? 3. So the next value will be 5. And our last value will be 8. Now we want to check that. We want to check that x equals 2 and y equals 8. So what we do is we substitute that back into our equation. 8 equals 3 times 2 plus 2. So y equals 3x plus 2. And then we can go and get 6 plus 2, 8. So check. We can substitute in and see if any point is on that line. Any questions? So when you do your check, you want to substitute. Oops. Okay, you want to substitute. Yep.
Are you only going to substitute the last number?
No, you can do whichever ones you want. So if you put in a 0, what should you get out? You should get a 2 out. 2. Okay. Or you can do left side equals right side. There's kind of like 2 different methods there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we practice graphing this. So quickly draw an axis. Put it on a line. And we talked about going in between our printed lines, on the line, in between the line, on the line, in between the line, and then left to right, try and keep it the same distance. Okay, so once you get your axes drawn, then you can go label the points, -2, -4. -1, -1. 0, +2 is up here. 1, +5, 2, 4 is up here. Now the next one's off my grid, so I won't plot it. I have enough. I can make my line. And the line should be straight. If your line is not straight, then you need to go back and check your calculations and check how you plotted your points. So I can label this y equals 3x plus 2. We also talked about making long lines, not short ones, long lines, going from one edge of the grid all the way to the other edge of the grid. Okay, after choosing simple x values, we then talked about what if you get a fraction for your rate of change. So say your rate of change was y equals 5/4x minus 2. We do not want decimals nor fractions. Those are hard to plot. We want whole numbers. So what special values for x would we choose so that y was a whole number? 4, what else? 0, what else? 8, what else? -8 and -4. So those are all multiples of 4, multiples of the denominator. So let's start with the low value and then get high. So we go to the high value. Okay. So we'd substitute in, and I hope you don't need your calculator for this. Make sure you calculate before you multiply. Sorry, make sure you cancel before you multiply. So these cancel to -2. You get -10 minus 2. The answer is -12. Now that one's probably not on our grid, so let's go find the other one. Y equals 5/4 times -4 minus 2. Don't forget to cancel first. -1. So y equals -5 minus 2, which equals -7. Goes right there. Then we substitute in 0, which is another easy piece of math. Okay, so this becomes 0 minus 2, which is -2. And now you can see the pattern. What are we going up by? We're going up by 5s. Check this out. Here, this side, we're going up by 5s. What are we going up by on the other side? 4. What's our rate of change? 5/4. Oh, so what's our y values changing by 5? Our x values are changing by 4. Okay. So looking at the pattern, what should be the next number? 3 and then 8. Okay, so let's graph it now. Go for it. Plot the points. You probably won't be able to plot the first one or the last one, but you should be able to plot the 3 in the middle. Go. So plot -4, -7, 2, 4, 6. Something like here. -0, -2 is right here. 4, 3 is about there. Iqbal, can you please pay attention? That was recorded. Now send an email to your parents. And so this one is y equals 5/4x minus 2. Any questions? Any questions? Now after that we have to rearrange equations. Because we didn't know if they had fractions or not. So if we had 5x plus 2y equals 12, we had to rearrange the equations. So we moved our x term over. What's in front of the 5? Negative. So we'd have to, sorry, there is nothing in front, so we'd have to subtract to move it. So we would get 2y equals -5x plus 12. You guys don't even laugh that hard for my jokes. Seriously. Then, so now we have 2 times y. We have 2 times y. What's the opposite of times by 2? Can you please behave in my class? Thank you.
Mr. Pancras, Mr. Bucket.
Yes, he could tell that you're really being picked on. Okay, so what's the opposite of times by 2? Divide by 2. The whole side must be divided by 2. So we have 2 separate divisions here, and we can write it as 2 separate divisions. There's the first division, -5 divided by 2. It's a fraction. Keep it a fraction. That's important. You'll see next year why. And what's 12 divided by 2? 6. So we write it as +6. So now you know which x values to pick. Okay, and that's important. So you can plot whole numbers. Any questions? Okay, turn your page over onto the back. On the back side, after this we looked at graphing our axes intercepts. So that's another method we looked at. Let's take the equation 3x minus 5y equals 30. What I want you to do is I want you to find your x-intercept and find your y-intercept. That way we can graph it. So when we're graphing, how do you know which intercept has a value of 0? Well, have a look. For your x-intercept, that means you're on the x-axis. Which value must have a 0 so you don't go anywhere up or down? Whoops. I just really wrecked this. There we go. So, shh. Guys, if you don't smarten up, you'll have to go outside. So you don't go up or down, so which value must be 0? Y. Y equals 0. Here, for your y-intercept, that means you don't go anywhere left or right. You're on this axis. So which value must be 0 so you don't go left or right? X. So then you can substitute in and find your intercepts. So it'll be 3 times 0 minus 5y equals 30. This one will be 3x minus 5. So I screwed those up. I got these backwards, my fault. Hold on. 3x minus 5 times 0 equals 30. 3 times 0 minus 5y equals 30. Okay, so I'm just going to substitute in the zeros now, just so they stand out. You go ahead, find your values. So we get 3x minus 0 equals 30, 3x equals 30, x equals 10. Here we had 0 minus 5y equals 30, which is negative 5y. And so y equals negative 6. Now I want you to plot those on your grid and graph the line. This is just a point. The point is 10, 0. This point is 0, negative 6. So your x, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right here is a point on the line. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's another point on the line. So your line is not 2 separate lines. Your line goes right here. Okay. So this is 3x minus 5y equals 30. Okay. what you tried to do is graph a line, but I'm graphing a point. So then we got into special lines. Quit talking and get out. Make a choice. Thanks for making the right choice. Special lines. X equals 5. Graph that, please. This is a line. Okay, the one before was just an X value. Okay. So X equals 5. Right here. Whoops. Making sure your line is nice and long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Use a ruler just like I did. X equals 5. Now I want you to graph the line y equals negative 2. Graph that, please. Y equals negative 2. Y equals negative 2 right here. Y equals negative 2. Make it straight right through y equals negative 2. Okay. Any questions? So we did special lines. The last thing would be making equations. Now we didn't really touch on this, but you can make your equation, you can wing it, you can figure out how to do it. If we have, say, a figure number, let me just see, x, y, okay, so we're given these x and y values. Now what you have to do is make an equation. So what you need to do is you need to find your rate of change. I wrote it earlier. We use the equation y equals mx plus b. M is your rate of change, and b is your constant value. And we did a lot of this from word problems, but we didn't do it from a chart. From a chart, you find your rate of change. What are we going up by for our y values? 2. What about the change in x values? 1. So your rate of change equals your y over your x, which for us was a change of 2 for a change of 1, and then you can simplify that fraction to 2. Okay. So right now our equation would be y equals 2x plus some number, b, our constant. Now look at the first point. What would it have to be to make y 7 if x is 2? If x is 2, what would the question mark have to be? 3. So let's check that. We think it's y equals 2x plus 3. I want you to check using the last point. X equals 4, y equals 11. So substitute in y equals 2 times 4 plus 3, y equals 8 plus 3, y equals 11. Is that what we wanted? Is that correct? Yes. So check. So the equation definitely is y equals 2x plus 3. The first thing we found was our rate of change. The second thing we found was our constant. Okay. So you're going to see that on our review questions. I think it's 10, 11, 12's a word problem, but then 13 I think is from the chart again. Yep.
So how do you get to be then?
Well, you have to look at the first point, substitute in x, so you get 2 times 2, which is 4. And what would you need to get 7 then? Add 4 more, add 3 more. Okay. So you got to play around with your constant, so when you get the input of x, you get the output of y. Okay. Any questions?